They are the fresh young faces who have come forward to represent America. This is the time, and these are the girls who will seek Olympic glory in Atlanta. Leading them today, America's most decorated gymnast, Shannon Miller's historic quest for gold continues today. Seven American girls, together as a team, for the first time. They have been together since the age of 6. The team from Romania comes to America to win. They may be the most powerful gymnastic force in the world. Sisters who live and train together as a family. Shannon Miller, LAVINIA MILOSOVICI, 1 and 2 in the World Championships. They stood together on the Olympic podium. But today, there is a new force. Romanian GINA GOGEAN may be the strongest in the world. And out of the shadows, LARISSA FONTAINE is America's number 2. We're at the Centrum in downtown Worcester, Massachusetts for the 1994 Budget Rent-A-Car Gymnastics Invitational USA versus Romania. I'm Dan Hicks along with Tim Daggett, Elfie Schlegel, and Marianne Grabavoy. The competition consisting of 2 parts today, the team competition as well as the individual. We will crown an all-around champion at the end of the day. The Americans, very young and inexperienced, but they are led by the 2-time world champion, Shannon Miller. The Romanians, led by LAVINIA MILOSOVICI. Milo finished 2nd to Shannon Miller at the 1994 Worlds. And the Romanian team features perhaps the hottest gymnast in the world today, GINA GOGEAN, the 94 European champion. We begin the competition with LARISSA FONTAINE of the United States, 16 years old from Deerfield, Illinois, on the vault.
Dan, LARISSA's probably one of the hottest rising stars on the American team as well. She certainly has been making her mark. She did a great job at the World Championships this year and is one of 2 very experienced team members at this competition.
Blind landing here. She doesn't see the ground. Tilt right there. Small hop.
The gymnasts will be competing in all 4 disciplines, and here on the vault they will take the average of the 2 scores.
This is one of the most popular vaults that the gymnasts are doing today. It's a Yurchenko vault in an Arabian position, as Tim mentioned, blind until this point right there. You can imagine, very difficult to land, and that forced her to take a huge hop.
And the score for LARISSA on her first vault, a 9.725.
Now she will do the same exact vault she did for the first one, which is allowed. She's just got to try to stick that landing.
And the exact landing as she did on the first, a huge hop. It's very difficult, as we said before, when you're landing blindly, but there are degrees of difficulty for each vault. This one's maximum degree of difficulty is 10.0.
And there is the score on the second vault, the 9.775, and the average of the 2, the 9.75 for LARISSA FONTAINE. Now here is Anna Maria BICAN, 14 years old and one of the younger competitors on this Romanian team on the uneven bars.
And right out of the box, I'll tell you, they are so deep and so strong. In training, she was almost flawless on this exercise.
Tim, you mentioned deep. The Romanians have a very distinct style on the uneven bars. They all do at least 2 release elements.
One of them coming up right here, a reverse heck. No problems.
Something else you'll see from the Romanian team is they've spent a lot of time on their landings, a double layout, the highest degree of difficulty on that dismount, and she sticks it cold.
Now when Elfie refers to a double layout, it means her body should be totally straight in the air. She does a giant to pick up some speed, leaves the bar, stretches in the air, and as she says, she rocks the landing.
And awaiting the score for BICAN, 9.7 on the uneven bars. And here is 14-year-old NADIA HATAGAN. You might have guessed it, named after the most famous Romanian gymnast of all time, Nadia Comaneci. Nadia ready for her first vault.
You know, she really has had a difficult time while she's been in the States. She'll do the same vault as LARISSA FONTAINE.
But Tim, definitely less powerful than Larissa's vault. We're going to be doing a lot of comparisons here in this competition. That one had far less height, and she took quite a big hop on the landing.
You know, in the warm-up and the days before the competition, she just really looked a little bit worn out and always needed that encouragement from her teammates and just a little bit tired maybe.
Tim, we talked with the Romanian girls before the meet began, and they did arrive just 3 days ago before this competition began. As we look at the first vault score for Nadia, 9.65, and their coach, Octavian Bellew, told us that they could be a little sluggish, and that could be a factor in today's meet.
Well, let's see if she can improve on that vault. Needs a little bit more power and once again stick the landing.
Okay, well, overall, I think it was a better looking vault as far as body position in the air. She still was slightly piked, and again, she took the same type of hop on the landing as she did in her first.
And the score for HATAGAN on the second vault, the 9.675, the average, the 9.662. Still behind LARISSA FONTAINE of the USA. Our first look now at 14-year-old KRISTY Powell, one of 2 juniors competing today. And if there's any inexperience on this team, it would have to come from Powell and THOMPSON, who we'll see later.
And you know, you have to realize they're in the biggest meet of their life. They're performing alongside Shannon Miller and Milosovici. These are probably their heroes and their idols. It's a lot of pressure.
But Tim, if it's any consolation, KRISTY's starting on her best apparatus, and a huge
big mistake right there. She should have continued her body right over the bar, had to stop, change her hands. Big deduction.
But Tim, she's working well. She's obviously improvised. She's getting back into the meat of the routine, trying to keep the momentum going. Another release skill, a beautiful ginger.
But Elfie, you know, the only thing running through her head is, my God, my first big meet and a big mistake.
And Tim, you know that mistake was a result of being so inexperienced. But really, the highlight of this routine for me was the dismount. Check out the height she gets in this first salto, well above the high bar, cranks in a full twist, looks for the landing, just a slight bit of over-rotation.
So a decent recovery for KRISTY Powell, but the score of 9.325 on the uneven bars. Now 16-year-old GINA GOGEAN, 4th in the all-around at the 94 Worlds. You may not know her name as much as a Shannon Miller or the LAVINIA Milosovici, but certainly she could challenge for the individual competition today.
Dan, I've been watching GINA for a number of years in international competition. She's not flashy, but don't underestimate her talent. She's one of the quiet ones.
The world of women's gymnastics, the top performer can change at any moment, and this young lady could very well be the one looking to grab the title.
No problems at all. She's just going about her business, all in a day's
Look at
work.
the landing.
Beautiful landing. That's typical Romanian style. They are so key on those landings. They never give away tenths.
Remember, these girls, they don't just train together, they live together. They're a family. GINA there, the quiet one, getting a little bit of congratulations from the leader, Milo.
And there is the score for GINA, 9.775 on the uneven bars.
Good score for GINA, but we still have Milo and this young lady, Shannon Miller, coming up.
We will get our first look at the reigning world champion right after this. Welcome back to Worcester, Massachusetts. You see GINA GOGEAN chalking the bars for her teammate, LAVINIA Milosovici, and you see so much of this on the Romanian team. The teammates helping each other out, making sure they feel comfortable.
Well, they are comfortable. They're used to it. They live together. They train together every day. Whereas the Americans, they are from different parts of the country. They all basically train by themselves with their individual coaches. Steve Nuno right there with his athlete, Shannon Miller. Totally different system.
And our first look at 17-year-old Shannon Miller, the most decorated gymnast in the United States history, and she'll begin on the vault.
And we'll see the same vault we've seen from LARISSA. This half twist blind landing.
Tim, the same vault as LARISSA, as NADIA HATAGAN, but it's difficult, and it's difficult to stick.
Go on the front of the horse because you had your head up. Make sure you keep your head in as you block, okay?
Steve always has a comment, always a correction. Now what he's talking about is Shannon's lifting her head off of the board. You'll see it right here, comes out a little bit, and Steve thinks that gives her a little bit too much rotation. And when you have too much rotation on a front vault, you take this step forward right there. We'll see if that last-minute coaching helps the vault out.
We'll average the scores of the two vaults, and that is the best score on a vault we've seen so far today.
Right here, it's right from the board to the horse. See if she can keep her head in. Little better.
I think it was much better as far as the body position in the air. There was far less height. She tried to hold on as long as she could to stick the landing. We'll get another look at it right here. Probably better positioning on the front of the horse. And right here, nice stretch laid out. She does pike slightly, but opens up a little bit earlier. But again, she still had to take a hop on the landing.
And the score for Shannon Miller on the second vault, the 9.90. The average, very good, 9.85. Shannon Miller, 17 years old. So is LAVINIA Milosovici. She may not be the best gymnast on this Romanian squad with the coming up of GOGEAN, but she's still considered the leader, the oldest girl on the squad.
But this bar routine is packed full of difficulty. 3 release skills. She just performed the first. Second one coming up right here. A Ginger style, beautifully executed. And it's not over yet. She still has one more planned before a big dismount. Tkachev so smooth, making this look all too easy.
Big and a little bit unorthodox double front here. Oh, God, bend those knees, Milo. Folks, that hurts when you do that. She's dropping from at least, I don't know, 10, 12 feet in the air, and you got to know where you are in the air in the sport of gymnastics, and she just did not know. The same style landing blind, flipping forwards.
And you know, it's right there, trying to absorb that landing, and as you said, Tim, just bend those knees a little bit more. That really hurts.
Absorb, that was more like a bounce right there.
And the score for Milo, 9.825.
Great routine, it was just the landing.
And our first look at 16-year-old Angela Gimpu, a last-second replacement for this meet, wasn't even supposed to compete. And here she is.
And I like this girl. She does an incredible vault. We've seen it basically from a few athletes so far, but she'll add a whole nother twist, 1.5 twists off the horse.
Oh. You know, Tim, I think anyone would welcome this gymnast as a last-minute replacement. That was incredible. Finally, we've seen a different style vault. You know, this vault, hard to believe, is out of a 10.0, the same as that Arabian style vault. But in my mind, this is far more difficult because she cranks an extra twist.
Way more going on, and right there, that's everything. She sticks the landing. Awesome vault.
And the score, 9.85 for Gimpu.
This might be the story right here. She's one of the inexperienced ones for the Romanians, but right out of the box answering the call. 2 great vaults.
Tim, not only inexperienced, but she and her coach Octavian Bellew spent 7.5 hours at the Washington Dulles Airport waiting to get clearance, waiting to get a visa so Gimpu could compete.
I tell you, Dan, I'm looking at these numbers here, and the first vault she did perfectly stuck. 9.85, we saw 9.9 from Shannon. I don't know. Those numbers are definitely a bit harsh.
Our first look at Donnie Thompson, one of 2 juniors competing. KRISTY Powell in her first senior national event, and here is Donnie competing in her first as well.
Of course, Donnie is teammates with KRISTY Powell. KRISTY having a bit of a rough time on the uneven bars a little earlier. So far, so good for Donnie Thompson.
Off the bar right there. Major release, but you got to catch every time you fall off. Mandatory 5/10 deduction.
Tim, you know, she had a great bar routine going. That was her third release skill, which is very impressive. That's the type of difficulty you need at today's standard.
Donnie, the youngest on this American squad at age 13.
Does a great dismount here. Same we've seen from the Romanians. Double layout and a great landing as well. Too bad, just the major fall. Once again, maybe just a little nervous. We said it earlier, competing with some of their idols, some of their heroes might be just a bit intimidating.
Well, you could see her lift her arms after she got off the uneven bar, saying, I don't know what happened.
So the scores after the first rotation in the individual standings: Shannon Miller, no surprise, leading the way. Perhaps the big surprise, Angela Gimpu of Romania, currently in third place. In the team standings, a huge lead for Romania.
And gigantic after one event, Dan, but in a meet of this format, anything can happen.
And we'll see if Shannon Miller can lengthen her lead in the individual competition. She's coming up next on the bars. And we welcome you back to the Centrum. Angela Gimpu, third place after the first rotation. Had an excellent start in the vault, now ready to take to the bars. And remember, Gimpu is the stand-in gymnast and is surprising everyone so far.
Well, she certainly surprised me after that first vault, but I don't think the uneven bars is one of her fortes. She doesn't have quite the strength as her other teammates. There's her first release skill. And by that, I mean the connection down to the low bar, very weak in her form.
They're just a little bit sloppy everywhere and not quite the power or the flight. Little bit of knees right there, bent knees, struggling, but...
Yeah, definitely a struggle throughout, but again, a stuck double layout dismount.
Yeah, we haven't seen a step yet from the Romanians on bar dismounts. It's pretty amazing.
This is the same type of dismount that GINA GOGEAN performed. Double layout, trademark of the Romanian team, and she nails it right on.
But really not a big scoring routine. Shouldn't be, at least.
9.375 for Gimpu. And now our second look at Donnie Thompson, just 13 years old, 12th place after the first rotation. Let's see if she can bounce back in her second event here after the fall from the bars.
Yeah, no question she wants to change things around, but this is the dreaded balance beam, a tough event to come back on, starting extremely well. Front summy on the beam, a blind move, getting set for her acrobatic pass. I'd say she's back on track.
Donnie Thompson, a sparkling resume at the junior level. Trying to prove herself on the senior national team.
Coaches Tom and Lori Foster say at times she can be her worst enemy, loses control of her emotions.
I think Lori Foster put it, she has the gold medal in pouting already.
I gotta tell you, I'm impressed. After a fall in such a big meet, and as Elfie said, beam, it is never easy and always nerve-wracking.
Guys, she is definitely in full control at this point. You know what's so impressive is the beauty of her work. Excellent extension. She has the difficulty setting up for a huge dismount, two back handsprings to a double tuck. Little tiny bit of over rotation, but you can see she's ecstatic.
And relieved after the fall from the bars, Donnie Thompson, the youngest member of this U.S. team, just 13 years old, getting some congratulations from her coaches, Tom and Lori Foster, and a 9.70 for Donnie Thompson. And now chalking up for her bar routine, our first look at Sarah CAIN, 16 years old from Grand Island, Nebraska, hoping things go a little better than her vault routine just earlier in the competition.
Well, Dan, unfortunately, in the old days, you could take the best score of 2 vaults, but not that way in today's competition. The rules say both count.
Struggling so hard to hold on to that landing.
That is her coach, Ricardo Appel, trying to pump Sarah up again. She told us before the meet, we asked her if she was nervous, and she immediately shook her head and said, yes, I am very nervous.
Back to business for Sarah, and she's got a huge release planned right here. Excellent. second release skill. That was a Jaeger in a pike position. She is cruising.
Well, this crowd saw her in tears just a few moments ago in the vault, but they recognize the rebound that Sarah CAIN has made now here on the uneven bars.
All right. Good girl. All right.
Awesome releases in this routine. Here's the first one. This is a reverse heck. Look at the height here. She is up there. Incredible.
And a relieved Sarah CAIN getting some congratulations from Shannon Miller and Larissa Fontaine. 9.80 on the uneven bars. There is Octavian Belu, the Romanian coach. His team dominating the recent European Championships, winning 8 of 11 golds. That kind of success does not come without complete dedication. He spends most of the year away from his wife and his 15-year-old daughter. He has not had a vacation in 13 years.
Yeah, success just does not happen. He spends his time with his other family and one of his children ready to mount the balance beam right now.
This is Anna Maria BICAN, 14 years old.
You know, Dan, the Romanian team and balance beam really go hand in hand. Remember, Nadia was just 14 years old back in '76 when she made history on the balance beam, scoring a perfect 10.
All around the world, coaches, judges, athletes, they just marvel at how at home the Romanians are on balance beam. They make it look so effortless.
The first big international meet for BICAN. Third in the all-around at the '94 Junior European Championships.
You know, we talk about pressure for the American girls, but there's pressure here too. Every time these girls walk out on the floor, they better perform because they're working for the best team in the world and they might not have that call the next time.
I think part of their secret is the number of routines that they perform in practice. It's endless. This is one of the more popular mounts we're seeing in women's gymnastics today. Front semi very blind, and you can imagine you have to be dead on. That's only 4 inches of balance beam.
Solid routine for BICAN and a 9.70. And ready to go on the bars, Larissa Fontaine, 5th after the first rotation. And this is really the apparatus where Larissa feels most comfortable.
This is definitely her forte. What a treat you're in for. One of the most difficult bar routines that's being performed in the world today.
She'll actually do 3 releases in a row in this bar routine. I've been screaming about this young lady for so many years now. Here we go, right here, 3 in a row. Heck, Ginger, and transition to the low bar. I love it.
Huge release skills in combination, and on top of that, she adds an extremely difficult Arabian double front dismount. What a fantastic routine. That'll be a top score.
Jam-packed, as Elfie says here. 3 releases. Watch this one. Flies in the air. As soon as she's on the bars, let's go again. And watch this. Transition to the low bar. Great gymnastics.
We'll see if Larissa took advantage of her favorite event, the uneven bars. She's one of 2 veterans with world championship experience on this U.S. squad, along with Shannon Miller. Larissa finishing 17th in the all-around at her first Worlds, and a 9.85. Excellent score for Larissa. She continues to chase Shannon Miller in the individual competition, along with the Romanian squad, and that challenge to Shannon could come from any of the Romanians, including GINA and Milo. Back with more gymnastics in a moment.
Get ready to call 1-800-424-4USA for a very special home video offer. Announcing America's Best 2, the ultimate challenge. It's all new, it's all the best, and it's available now by calling 1-800-424-4USA. This NBC Sports exclusive is only $16.95 plus shipping and handling. All major credit cards accepted. It's the one sports video the whole family will love. 1-800-424-4USA. Call now.
Welcome back to Worcester. There's Romanian coach Octavian Bellu working with his team as he has for the past 14 years. He inherited the system from Bela Karolyi and has kept the tradition alive since Karolyi came to America. And to Bellu, the team is really a family.
Because we have this system to keep the girls together all the time. And to stay together and to work together and to be, what I said before, 24 hours a day, to be together, it's more than one family. I feel like a father with 13 and 15 daughter. Our girls are not like all other gymnasts. They are not robots. They are not machines. They are human beings.
Forging a world power with a group of teenagers can be a challenge, but in Romania, traditions run deep. Here's our Marianne Grabavoy.
It's a town called Deva in a place called Transylvania.
Milo!
Away from their families since the age of 6, the girls have become sisters. Sisters, playing, sharing, growing together. In a place, a time filled with self-discovery. Fleeting, carefree moments in the waning days of a demanding childhood. In this remote corner of Romania, the road to glory begins. In a valley always protected by the Carpathian Mountains, this is the cradle of Romanian gymnastics. A national training center, but so much more. From the mountains springs a life force in a country whose national identity was forged by a 14-year-old named Nadia. Her name, her spirit, her mantle of glory was worn by an entire nation. Nadia had the heart. Bela Karolyi, the master, had the fire in his eyes. And together, they created a legacy. A legacy that lives and breathes in these tiny bodies. Like an opus rich in variation and color, Romanian gymnastics has changed through the years. Look to the podium at any Olympics or Worlds, and you'll see the face of a nation. They are stout-hearted little souls pressed into action, but now no longer as tools of a repressive communist regime. The forces of real life would beat at the doors of Deva, the sanctuary for Romania's young gymnasts.
The rolling revolution sweeping through Eastern Europe hit with full force in Romania this morning.
Army units returned sniper fire from the courtyard.
It was the bloodiest street fighting Europe has seen since World War II. This, no velvet revolution.
Nicolae Ceausescu had stood on a balcony for the last time. He was shouted down, and his soldiers had opened fire on the crowd. They chanted, "Ceausescu is no more." They had waited 24 years for this.
By morning's light, the cheering had faded. Freedom fighters, yes, but children first. Today, Bucharest is a place where every Sunday, parents clean the graves of their children. Where the scars of war are for all to see. Sharing with the world the nightmare of thousands of orphaned and abandoned children. In vacant eyes, a hollow reflection of a nation's soul ripped from its being. Yet today, Romania is a place of hope. It's a nation of believers, a people whose faith has remained, but so too have the scars. Far from the streets of Bucharest, in the distant Carpathian Mountains, is the life force of Deva. Here is the evidence Romania hasn't forgotten its children. Four and a half years after the revolution, the nation is awakening. The long journey has begun, and once again, it is the children who will lead the way. Romania is a nation seeking identity, a nation looking for respect in this new world order, a nation desperately trying to ease the wounds of the past. And it is those who have suffered most, the children, who will put a new face on this Romania. It is the gymnasts, the little girls with bodies of sprung steel, who will lead. They are Romania's jewels. They are the portraits of hope. Like the famous one who went before her, NADIA HATAGAN hopes to inspire those who follow, but also to live up to the name she bears. GINA GOGEAN, hers the face of confidence. 16 years old, Romania's star in waiting. She left home at the age of 7 to pursue her dreams. Andreea Cocovan misses her brothers. Her family visits every 6 weeks. But when they leave, she says, she cries. And the big sister, Milo, the Olympic hero. Her name echoes through the playgrounds of Romania. She has taught them all that even today, when so much has changed, the dream lives on.
A daunting responsibility indeed for a young 17-year-old Milo. The gymnasts have been challenged, and so has that man, Octavian Bellew.
He tells us literally dozens of his top coaches have left the country since the revolution.
Second after one rotation, now trying to gain ground on Shannon Miller.
So far, an awesome start to her competition on the uneven bars. Let's see if she can keep the flow going, but this mount is tricky. Tricky, difficult, and a huge error. That takes her out of the competition in the individual.
Even this early in the competition with still 2 events to go?
Half a point when you fall off the beam, it's over for her all-around chances.
We just saw her amid the celebration in Barcelona in the '92 Olympics, a gold medal winner there, a double gold medal winner there, but once again, she will see another chance at an all-around title go by the wayside here.
And you know, Dan, those individual event titles, they obviously mean something, but every top gymnast dreams of that all-around title. I'd be willing to bet just about anything that she'd trade every single individual event championship for just one big all-around title.
We watched the showdown between Milo and Shannon at the World Championships. This has been her nemesis all year long, the balance beam.
And you know, Elfie, you do the big risky tricks to get the big score, but when you make a mistake, you get the big deduction. And her mount, it all started going wrong right in the beginning, I think. You can see right there, she's off to the right of your screen right from the beginning. I think it starts right on the round off. Let's see if she's square at the end of this half turn. No, she's already off right there. It is just no way she can pull herself back on that beam.
Take a closer look at her hand placement. I mean, she was fighting tooth and nail here, trying to pull herself back on, but it was just not going to happen. Right hand's on, left hand, but the body position, as you mentioned, Tim, well off to the left side.
And the score for Milo, a 9.2. So Milo out of the individual competition. Says she loves being the leader of this team. Will have to cheer on her teammates for the individual challenge to Shannon Miller, perhaps. This is NADIA HATAGAN, 9th after one rotation. And she'll take to the bars.
NADIA certainly didn't have an easy time on the vault. As we mentioned before, she looks awfully tired here at this competition. Bars is one of her best events. She does some very interesting work on the high bar.
Same dismount, double front, and once again a little bit locked-legged on the landing.
You know, Tim, that was an identical landing to Milo. The stiff leg landing, that really hurts the knees.
And as NADIA makes her way back to her teammates, you can almost sense that the score will not be exactly what NADIA had hoped for. But there's another NADIA in the house, and right now she is with our Marianne Grabavoy.
Joining me now is the lady who made Romanian gymnastics known all over the world, Nadia Comaneci. What was it like to live and train in Deva?
I moved there in 1977 and I stay until 1981. That was great. This is a beautiful complex and everything is paid for. Your parents doesn't have anything to deal with if you're going to be at home, and it's just a family. That's the place that you belong, and that's where you want to be.
The girls talk about a sense of family. Was it like that for you?
It is a family because that's what they know. That's why they stay there, because they love the sport. They have a lot of support from the family, and I don't think they would like if they would be taken away and let them live with the family. They enjoy very much because this is their family.
How important was living and training at the center in terms of your success as a gymnast?
I think it's very important. First of all, being there, it gives you a lot of power. You have a lot of confidence. You know, there are only 12 girls who stay there in the complex. They are the only girls in the country that they can do, that nobody can do. So you feel powerful over everybody, and that's why I think they like to do that.
Lasting impressions of Deva for you?
I'll be back in November. So this is the biggest surprise. That will be my first visit to Romania. So I'm just waiting to go there. They're going to name the arena after me, so I'm happy for that.
What an honor.
Yes, I'm very happy.
A long way from Deva and a remarkable journey for you.
That's right, yes.
Thank you, Nadia.
You're welcome.
And we'll watch and see, along with NADIA, to see if GINA GOGEAN can step up for the Romanians today. More gymnastics coming up. And we're back in Worcester, Massachusetts, and our first look at Marianna Webster, 15 years old, born in Joplin, Missouri, now lives in Oklahoma City, where she is trained by Steve Nuno the past 3 years. Before that, she was with Bella Caroli.
You know, Dan, you're going to see a lot of similar qualities to Shannon Miller, and why not? She works right alongside Shannon Miller in Oklahoma.
Her second year on the senior national team.
First major tumbling run. She told me it's an honor to compete in this competition with Shannon and Milosovici.
She also told us, Tim, her goal here was to stay clean. Nothing spectacular, but No mistakes.
And that's exactly what she's doing so far.
Very impressive work so far. As you mentioned, she's clean, neat. Of course, that's very much the way that Shannon Miller works. She pays specific attention to such small details, a big dismount, round off, double back, and that was the routine that she wanted.
Really composed for such a young athlete. I'm really impressed with her.
There's that tumbling pass that we saw early on in the routine. Back handspring to 2 consecutive layouts, bang on, shoulders, hips, everything well aligned.
Look at just how critical exact placement is. She's flipping over, folks, doing a complete back flip, and those feet somehow, they got to find that 4-inch piece of beam.
Marianna Webster, 9.775. This just her second international competition. Meanwhile, the veteran of the United States squad, Shannon Miller, the recipient of the Budget Service Award given to Shannon based on her leadership and contributions in community service. And right now, Shannon Miller trying to lengthen her lead in the individual competition. You hear her coach Steve Nuno instructing her on the last minute before she takes to the bars. Shannon, the back-to-back national champion, along with her back-to-back world titles.
She's got a great release combination right off the bat. She'll do a full twist over the bar, get some speed here, right into another release. Right on.
And then, Tim, she has another move right here, which she just missed. She unveiled a new move at the World Championships, but quick thinking on Shannon's part.
But she looks a little bit lost now, Elfie, to be honest. She is basically just making things up as she goes along here. Had to totally change her routine. Oh, and just barely squeaks that one around.
How to improvise there, dude.
You can hear Steve Nuno talking about the improv we've just seen by Shannon Miller on the bars.
It was a great start to the routine, a move that Shannon made famous. Full twisting hop giant. She unveiled this at the World Championships. Right into a release skill. That was the Miller, but the move she had problems with was right here. She was supposed to do a 180, followed by another 360 turn to the low bar, but that's where she improvised.
And she really does look like she doesn't know what to do here, and finally she kind of gets her wits about her and says, well, just keep going, Shannon. Really, though, there are some deductions in here. And I can't believe she made this. She just like jammed those feet into the ground.
And with that ad lib in that routine, it'll be interesting to see the score at 9.75.
She got through the routine, but 9.75 is a little bit high.
So after 2 rotations, Shannon Miller finds herself in a tie with Larissa Fontaine, who probably thought she would end up with a little bit better cushion. Also eyeing in the individual competition, GINA GOGEAN, but what is she doing? Taking a bath, it looks like.
Well, she's making a mess, Dan. Yeah, that's what she's doing. Actually, the chalk will help her grip that balance beam a little bit better, both with her hands and her feet. But I have to tell you, in a competition, a lot of times it helps the athlete kind of calm themselves down, gives them something to do, takes their mind off of all that stress.
She has an opening here with her teammate Milo falling off the beam. She could be the one that leads the Romanian charge.
No question, this is watch out for GINA GOGEAN. We talked about her being the quiet one. She has a dynamite balance beam routine planned, so setting up now for her first tumbling pass. He'll take the full length of the beam. Combination of layout and a huge mistake. She was supposed to connect it through to another element.
Basically just stopped midstream there. Some uncharacteristic falls from the Romanians on beam there, but that one is solid as you can possibly be.
She was second to Shannon Miller in the all-around at the 93 Worlds. That was two years ago. She did receive a silver medal on this apparatus, the balance beam, in that competition.
Almost finished with this exercise, just the dismount, combination back handsprings to double back. Solid on the dismount, but a serious mistake early on in the routine.
So GINA GOGEAN with a chance to make up some big ground here, not getting the kind of performance she would have liked.
Yeah, all of our main stars that we figured on really not stepping up to the plate, all of them having at least a small mistake thus far.
And the score for GINA, 9.675. So the individual competition, the standings after 2 rotations, LARISSA FONTAINE and Shannon Miller of the United States, and NADIA HATAGAN moving up big from 9th to 4th. As far as the team standings are concerned, the Americans edging up just a bit on the Romanians. And we expected Shannon Miller to lead at this point in the competition, but she's got some company in LARISSA FONTAINE. Surprisingly tied for first after 2 rotations, LARISSA FONTAINE of the United States, now set to take to the beam, and that performance at the Worlds just last month a little bit shaky, but she's been working on it. It's a lot better now.
Oh, Dan, silly mistakes at the World Championships, but this will be a huge test for LARISSA.
Same mount that we saw Milosovic fall on just a few moments ago. Right on.
Problems like this on simple elements. That's not even a big time skill. That's where she's throwing away small tenths. Now watch this skill, double turn. Believe it or not, that's as difficult as her mount.
Shades of Betty Aquino.
Huge tumbling skill right here. Round off layout, solid. Nice combination, punch front to a jump. Again, she's hitting all her big skills. There we go again, another small bobble on a very simple jump. There's the warning bell, just the dismount. Round off, double back. Solid on the dismount. Small, silly mistakes once again.
Maybe a couple of bobbles here and there, but nevertheless, LARISSA FONTAINE steady and definitely keeping her hopes alive in the individual competition. Nothing big as far as mistakes go.
But also helping the American team basically come together. She's one of the veterans here.
9.65 for LARISSA. FONTAINE, one of the veterans, but the Americans trying to get some good performances from the younger ones. Here's MARIANNA Webster on the floor.
But we weren't even supposed to see her. She's a last-minute replacement for KRISTY Powell on the floor exercise. KRISTY struggled on bars, and the coaches figured this young lady do a better job out there.
And there's the inexperience coming through, and out of bounds, that's a 10th deduction. Dan, I have to say, you see shades of Shannon Miller out on that floor exercise, at least choreographically. Tumbling-wise, she's weak. She really lacks in the tumbling department, but then again, for a last-minute replacement, wasn't too bad. In her opening tumbling run, full twisting double back, a lot of international gymnasts are ending their floor routines with this tumbling. And there you can see a little over rotation, and right there, that's 1/10.
Nice job with no warm-up. Now I know the secret to training Marianna Webster. No training is the secret.
So Steve has found the secret.
Somehow I think that she'll do plenty of training in the future. She's not through. So. Now, there's GINA GOGEAN, third after 2 rotations on the floor exercise. And we'll see if GOGEAN can continue to chase the Americans, Shannon Miller and LARISSA FONTAINE. And I would say with that floor routine, GINA GOGEAN definitely in the picture in the individual competition.
Dan, she is cruising through this meet. She had trouble on the beam, bounced back on the floor exercise, and did her job once again.
Remember, she still has her strongest event, the vault, in her 4th and final rotation. And the score for GINA, a 9.8.
This is an interesting showdown. That 9.8 ties her with LARISSA FONTAINE, but remember, Shannon Miller still has her 3rd event to come.
And there is Shannon Miller warming up to take to the beam. We'll have more gymnastics from Worcester in a moment. And we welcome you back to the Centrum in Worcester, Massachusetts. Dan Hicks with Elfie Schlegel and Tim Daggett and Marianne Grabavoy, the 1994 Budget Rent-A-Car Gymnastics Invitational. NADIA HATAGAN, a factor in the individual competition today, currently in 4th place after 2 rotations.
Dan, I think this is a key routine for Romania. If she is going to muster up anything, it has to be right now. They need this one. And she's off, just like Milo on her mount. GINA GOGEAN had some problems. Now another fall.
You know, we have talked about how close of a family this group is, but you've got to remember this is also very serious business. There are 14 other girls in Deva waiting for their chance, and if one of these athletes continually doesn't perform, she might be out of the family. A little bit of horizontal bar there on the balance beam.
just barely finishing that dismount. You know, again, it's been an all-day struggle for Nadia from start to finish. See what went wrong on this mount. Front summy, very popular mount. On balance beam, timing has to be right on the hips, shoulders, and you can see right there she is way off. Didn't even get that second foot on initially.
And we will see what the fall on the mount will cost Nadia HATAGAN. The score at 9.25. She was in 4th place, but after that performance will certainly fall. Now Amy Chow, and a rarity in gymnastics, born, raised, trained in the same city in San Jose, California. This is her first year on the national team after 3 years on the junior team.
And she is someone to watch. She is a daredevil.
Dan, I think it's obvious she had all the tricks. She certainly threw a heck of a lot in this routine, but she had her share of problems. The only thing she needs to do now is perfect those skills.
Definitely a who's who in gymnastics here in Worcester, Massachusetts. Couple of world champions there, Svetlana Boginskaya and Kim Zmeskal. With more on Kim Zmeskal, let's go down to the floor and join Marianne Grabovor.
Well, Dan, 1994 is the year of comebacks in Olympic sports. People like Brian Boitano and Katarina Witt in figure skating. The big story here, and a surprising one at that, is the announced comeback of America's first world all-around champion in gymnastics, Kim Zmeskal.
It was supposed to be Kim's party. It was supposed to be the fairy tale ending for Bella Karolyi's Little Fighter. Instead, Kim's Olympic Games were a nightmare. No matter how hard she fought, Kim Zmeskal watched her lifelong dream slip away. What do you do when your world explodes? What do you do when someone else is there to take your spot? The memory of it all would haunt her. It haunts her to this day.
I spent many nights not knowing what to do and praying that someone would please just tell me. But it all came down to that I still enjoyed doing the sport of gymnastics, and that I feel like I have more to offer. You know, I think that I could give something to the U.S. team, and I've always been a competitive person, and the exhibitions have been really great these past couple years, but there's just been a hole inside of me that, you know, hasn't been able to be filled with anything that competition did.
So there they were last night, Kim and Bella together again. Kim would not slip quietly away. Bella's Little Fighter was back.
Please welcome back a young lady who's making her comeback here tonight, Miss Kim Zmeskal.
In a floor exhibition in a near-empty arena, Kim Zmeskal began the long journey back. But hyperextending her right knee and in pain, she headed for the arms of the man who has stood by her through it all.
I know better than anybody else how rocky the road gonna be, and I know all the details and all the ingredients of a effort, of a challenge to respond to a kind of challenge what we are taking now. And I thought to her, remember all those times, remember the struggle, remember all the ingredients which were involved, good and bad.
Kim Zmeskal knows the demons that are out there, but she also knows in her heart she wants one more chance.
Clean and sharp now, okay? Let's do it up.
It was Shannon Miller who received the 5 medals in Barcelona, taking over for Kim Zmeskal at that point, and has never looked back, has a definite long-term goal, Atlanta in 1996.
And you know, Dan, Atlanta is still a long ways away.
But Shannon Miller says she's nervous again, says she's been rejuvenated, especially since her second World Championship.
You know, Shannon is great on beam, but she really doesn't take any major risks here. She'll just go through a beautiful, clean exercise with no small mistakes or the little bobbles that you see from many of the other athletes.
Well, you heard her coach Steve right before she took to the beam. 2 words, clean and sharp.
She'll be 19 years old when the 96 Olympics occur in Atlanta. Pushing 5 feet now. She's grown 4 inches since the competition in Barcelona. 4'11.5" now. Fighting the gymnast's worst enemy, and that's age.
And you know, Dan, I really don't want to jinx Shannon on her road to her second Olympic Games, but people really need to understand how difficult this is going to be, and if she does it, what a tremendous accomplishment. It is so hard to fight that battle of time for a young gymnast. Huge dismount here, full twisting double. Great landing.
You know, not only was that routine clean and sharp, it was dead on. That was the identical beam routine that she performed at the World Championships, not even a waver.
Tell everybody. Listen. All right, hey.
Steve Bruno almost taking a fall after congratulating Shannon. We won't see his score. We're still awaiting Shannon's score.
Just beautiful extension here, nice split leap, dive to a handstand. She's made this all so famous now.
Like you said, Tim, perfect split, everything, every detail right down to the toe point.
And the score, a 9.9. Excellent score for Shannon Miller, which keeps her in the lead in the individual competition. We'll have more gymnastics from Worcester, Massachusetts in just a moment. Lavinia Milosovic out of the running for the all-around title because of her fall on the beam, but trying to gain some grounds on the competitors and finish respectively. And a look at the current standings, Shannon Miller followed by LARISSA FONTAINE and GINA GOGEAN tied for second. So Milo looking to perhaps crack the top 5 if she can come up with a good floor exercise here. The same event she achieved a gold medal in Barcelona, so she's certainly capable of it.
A gold medal and a perfect 10 on this event in the Olympics in 1992.
Build the speed without leaning. Okay, you've got to build the speed. You've been trying to lean for rotation. Build the speed up. Okay. All right. Hey, all right, all right. Take that.
I don't care if she's the oldie of the Romanian team. She's just taught some of these youngsters the definition of real tumbling.
And never giving up.
Good job, all right.
You know, she's so good and so strong, but actually she has taken it down a notch even since the Olympic Games. But this, pretty neat. 3 whips, double full to a punch front. Very difficult stuff, but let's journey back to Barcelona and take a look at probably one of the most difficult tumbling runs ever performed. I remember watching this the first time, and my jaw was hanging down. I couldn't believe she did a punch front out of a whip to a full in. That is so hard.
And as the years go on, it's more difficult and more difficult to attain these moves with the age. A 9.85 for Milo, certainly an excellent score and certainly moves her up in the individual competition. Now, Donnie Thompson, again, the youngest woman on the American squad, just 13.
Stumble back there, out of bounds. That's a small deduction.
There's a certain amount of showmanship in this sport, and Donnie Thompson seems to have really picked up on that, loves the attention, tells us she loves the media attention and wants to be a star in the sport.
Dan, I love her style, huge potential. I think her case today was just a little bit too much adrenaline.
9.65 for Donnie Thompson.
You know, not a factor in the all-around here today, but as Elfie said, really huge potential on this young lady. She just has to clean her act up and maybe iron a few little mistakes out, and she'll be right in there.
And after 3 rotations, as expected, the Romanians in command in the team competition, and really, Elfie Schlegel, as expected, the young U.S. women having some problems, very inexperienced.
Well, let's remember, this is big time for them. This is the first major international senior event that they're at, and I guess making some unexpected mistakes. These are the type of mistakes you'd expect them to make their first time out.
And Tim, we really got a 3-gymnast race in the individual competition. The American Shannon Miller and LARISSA FONTAINE against the Romanian GINA GOGEAN.
Really no surprise at all with Shannon Miller, but LARISSA FONTAINE, what a shocker. She's tied for second. GINA GOGEAN, though, she goes into her last event on vault. It's a really strong one. We got a race here.
We do indeed. The women's standings after 3 rotations. Shannon Miller leads the way, tied for second. LARISSA FONTAINE and GINA GOGEAN. Milo has moved up into 5th place. The team standings after 3 rotations, the Romanians lengthening their lead, but we'll see what happens in the all-around competition. LARISSA FONTAINE in the hunt. She has the floor exercise left for her final rotation, and tied for second with her, GINA GOGEAN. She has the vault. More gymnastics coming up right after this. Surrounded by the Transylvanian Alps, the town of Deva is 8 hours by train from Bucharest, the capital of Romania. Once the breadbasket of Eastern Europe, this area is now home to the Romanian gymnastics team. Once a week, the team takes a break from the gym and training to spend a day together out on their farm.
Ca niște surori, adică cum suntem toate la un loc și ne simțim.
I feel like I am with many sisters. We are together all the time. And I feel better with them than if my own sister had come to see me.
They've been together, most of them, since they were 6 years old. These girls have come here from all over the country, hand-picked, just 14 of them. The training center, school, and housing are entirely financed by the Romanian government. They train twice a day, a total of 7 hours, and it's the kind of environment after a pressure-packed day of training, there is support that goes beyond teammates. They are friends.
I want to go with my friends in the Olympic Games in Atlanta, and I want to help my friends, help the team to win.
We had a lot of fun talking to Andrea. She speaks the best English of anyone on the team, is the team's translator, and really is the ambassador of this team. She's the smallest one on the team at just 4 feet 10 inches. She'll turn 16 years old next month. KOGEAN, the team translator, off the floor exercise.
Dan, you know, you're always looking at obedient gymnasts, but
you don't see that happen very
got a little bit of an argument going on there. Belus, forget it.
He's seen enough.
You know, this team was really counting on Andrea's floor routine. This was her second tumbling pass, one of the best ones. 3 whip-backs, shades of Kim Zmeskal. Back at the 92 Olympic Games, right through to a double twist. That was one of the more solid tumbling passes.
And awaiting the score, a 9.60 for Andrea KOGEAN. And the standings entering the final rotation. Shannon Miller, LARISSA FONTAINE still tied with GOGEAN, Milos still in 5th place. And now LARISSA FONTAINE, tied for 2nd after the 3 rotations, her final event of the meet, the floor exercise. confidence building in Larissa Fontaine, 6th in the all-around of last year's U.S. Championships, had a taste of her first World Championship this past, and she has just gotten better and better.
She has certainly come on very strong. Today was her day. I'd say this was the meet of her life.
Love that floor routine, you know. So mature. She's such a show person out there. It's a great exercise. Love watching her compete.
And the score, a 9.8. She is our current leader.
You know, I've been screaming about this young lady for quite some time now. She really is a comer. She's something to watch.
Well, Larissa Fontaine may have the lead for now, but you can bet Shannon Miller has designs of overtaking Larissa in her final rotation. GINA GOGEAN also very much in the picture. We'll have more from Worcester, Massachusetts in a moment. Welcome back to Worcester, Mass, the final event of the competition for 16-year-old Angela Gimpu, currently in 9th place. But a good routine here. We're perhaps set her up for a medal. Nice applause from the Centrum crowd for Angela Gimpu. She began gymnastics 11 years ago at age 5. And once again, her teammates offering her congratulations on an excellent floor exercise.
I don't know about you guys, I was awfully impressed with that floor routine. Tons and tons of difficulty.
And you see what GOGEAN needs to beat Fontaine. Better than a 9.8.
Not totally out of the ballpark, though. She certainly is capable. Great vaulter. 2 vaults. First one, almost perfect. Wow. 1.5 twisting, laid out Yurchenko. The blind landing we've talked about over and over again. Almost a flawless landing. That was a great first vault.
Tim, I'm not quite sure she knew before this vault what she needed, but it was as if she did. 1.5 twists. This is very difficult. There's the blind landing. That was probably one of the best landings we've seen in this competition.
And the score for the first vault at 9.825. The second vault just as important.
Oh, but I gotta tell you, Dan, I don't know. 9.825. That is definitely harsh. That was a beautiful vault, very difficult.
It is a 3-way race. Shannon Miller waiting for GINA's final vault. Shannon still with a floor exercise left, and Larissa Fontaine wondering if she's done enough. Remember, they average the scores of the 2 vaults.
We'll see the same vault once again from GINA. The only mistake, maybe the slightest of hop on the landing.
Almost identical from the first vault. Again, maybe a very slight break on the landing, but really not much to cry about. That first vault was such a rip-off.
Shannon Miller saw it as she composes herself.
Build up in the hurdle, whip 1 and 2 inch, block it straight up, take your arms up, pull your arms up, straight full in, and stick. Strong in the leg, stick, okay? Clean.
The score for GINA, 9.775.
Too low, Dan, too low.
All right, the race for the gold when we come back as GOGEAN is tied with Fontaine.
Get ready to call 1-800-424-4USA for a very special home video offer. Announcing America's Best 2, the ultimate challenge. It's all new, it's all the best, and it's available now by calling 1-800-424-4USA. This NBC Sports exclusive is only $16.95 plus shipping and handling. All major credit cards accepted. It's the one sports video the whole family will love. 1-800-424-4USA. Call now.
This is NBC's Sports World, and today it was brought to you by Budget Rent-A-Car. Now more than ever, the smart money is on budget. By Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Remember, there's no wrong way to eat a Reese's. And by Arid. Get a little closer with new Arid. Anti-perspirant protection so clear, it's invisible.
Shannon Miller needs a 9.551 to win. It seems that this title is within her grasp, easily.
Well, certainly if she has any kind of a routine like she's capable of, it is. But I have to tell you, in training prior to the competition, she has struggled, and certainly she struggled the most here on the floor exercise.
It appears Shannon Miller has added yet another title to an unprecedented American resume.
Well, she may have struggled in practice, but this is where it counts in the competition, and she hit today.
Yeah, she's definitely a veteran. She knows when she has to do it, and she steps up and she performs.
And LARISSA FONTAINE knows as well, as she's tied for second place with GOGEAN, as we await the score for Shannon Miller. And a 9.90 for Miller, more than enough cushion. GINA GOGEAN finishes tied for second with LARISSA FONTAINE. The champion is with our Marianne Grabavoy.
Shannon, meet after meet after meet, you just keep doing it.
Well, I tried to get ready really quick for this competition, and hopefully I'll be able to put in some more difficulty for the next one, but I'm really happy with what I did.
Where is it coming from? You're just so consistent.
I guess just a lot of training, repetition.
You had a stomach injury, a stomach muscle injury earlier in the year. Are the wins now more satisfying because of that? You're coming back from an injury?
Yeah, but I've been back from it for a while. It hasn't bothered me since before Worlds, so.
The question you're going to be tired of being asked, Atlanta, 1 meet at a time, what do you think?
Definitely I'm taking it 1 meet at a time, but I also have that in my head, in the back of my head for, definitely competing there. I really want to make the team.
Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you.
So Shannon Miller holds off LARISSA FONTAINE and GINA GOGEAN for the women's all-around title. Anna Maria BICAN finishes fourth and Milo finishes fifth. And Romania easily wins the team competition, and since 1972, the U.S. women have beaten the Romanian women just once. That was at the '91 Worlds. The other big story today, the emergence of LARISSA FONTAINE. She's with our own Marianne Grabavoy.
Larissa, the pride and the surprise of Deerfield, Illinois. How'd you do this? It was great.
I just really had a really solid all-around meet. I was really excited.
Very consistent all day long.
Yeah, this is one of the first big meets where I've really been able to go out and hit all my routines.
Has Larissa Fontaine's time finally come?
I don't know. I just want to keep on going out and hitting my routines.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
For Tim Daggett, Elfie Schlegel, and Marianne Grabavoy, I'm Dan Hicks saying so long from Worcester, Massachusetts.